Okay, this is CCC, and you can see it's been an extended downtrend for a while now, so obviously that's a weak, it's been a very weak stock. I might just look at that. It's just stopped on that bottom of that line there and shifted sideways. Okay, so I might, what can I do there? I might connect the top, and that looks like it's roughly in the middle, doesn't it? Anyway, that's what I look at. So it's in a downtrend, obviously, and you see these up bars, smart money selling up bars, and they were selling their ultra high volume, and they started on that bar, finished on that bar, brought it back, held it up before bringing it back up to finish the sell orders off. And so when you see ultra high volume like that on an up bar, you know there, and it closes like that. I mean, if that was all buying, how can it close there? How can the next bar ram down? So you know they're selling it there, and then they finished it off there, and that started this extended down move. Look, we really need to see, I think, a nowhere on this weekly chart do we have a higher low. It's supported, so there's no real reason for me to say that's a bottom there. Look, we did get volume come in there, but it's nothing really special. This looks promising. Down it come in reverse on widespread, volume kicking in, but it could never get it. It never got above that potential climax there, and it's just fallen off. So that makes that very weak. Then and that'll resist the price. So your main resistance when it gets there will be your 7 cents, and it, everywhere on that weak bar. We'll have one at 5 cents. It'll be very weak, and so is that the bottom? Look, you're down near where it's been before. That must have been the diggers and drillers recommendation there, I think. That looks like, with that big up move. What did they sell there? No, they hit their stop loss and it sold out somewhere. But anyway, it's look, I'm not going to call that as a bottom because these are all weak. It's gone up. Looks like we had a bit of a 2-bar reversal there, so that looked promising. But look, it's collapsed down into that bar. Really, what we want to see is for a higher low coming back down on light volume, testing that volume. But the volume's not really that great. We want to, when we start an up move, we want to see some strength behind us, like some strong buying volume at a bottom. But we've got, and that's not really that impressive there. But we have got a lot of weakness behind us, and that's all trapped holders there are going to resist the price going up. Let's just have a look at the daily and just see what's happened recently. Boom, there we go, sharp down move, reversal. So that looked promising, but it never really got above there a lot. This gives you a clue here. See that really high volume up bar. All high volume up bars are potentially weak. Closed off its high, and then the next bar closed down. They closed down. They didn't just close down. They closed off their low. So if that's all buying there must have been some news or something, and it's been offloaded into. Comes down, tries to go up, but it's up thrust. Selling comes off. Bang. That's your clue there. Look. So that's beneath that. That's beneath our weak bar now. It's come along and it's dropped down again to 3.9. So the problem here you got is that bar, that's really high volume, comparable to your weak bars over here. So that bar there is just as weak as any of these at the top here. So there's no sign there that it's we also got a little bit of a head and shoulders there, sort of. except the one shoulder's too weak to even get its head up to get a proper shoulder happening there. So look, there's nothing here that tells me that's a bottom yet, other than we've kicked up a little bit of volume and it's closed off its high a bit. It's had a bit of a response to that support line there, but really when I see that, then I'm really not, you now just got more weakness behind you again. And what we really need to do is get out of this channel and start a series of higher lows. So let it make a higher low, and then we can have a look at the next higher low after that. Okay, this is a HST group. Looks like it's in a downtrend too, doesn't it? We can draw, where are we going to draw the lines? There's so many of them. Anyway, that doesn't really. What I will do is mark off the low of this high volume bar. That's your main resistance there at 24 cents. So it's been heavily sold into it at the beginning. It's up thrust, closed low, tried to go up thrust again, and they were selling it from the get-go, it looks like. And there's been very little volume, very little interest in it. Got this down move here that sort of was on volume, but nothing spectacular. But anyway, we'll zoom in on it. So there was some buying there, and that looks like it's shifted and then it's down again. So looks like there was some buying in this at the bottom of these two bars, because it's shifted the price along after that sideways, but really no interest at the taking it higher. So really, what you want it to do is you want it to get above there. Even above there would be a start. That's the close. Is it the close? Yep, that's the close. And that corresponds with the top of that. So there was buying at the bottom here. So that could be the start of maybe some bit of accumulation, but you can see it's not ready to go high. You see your high volume up bar sold into because it's collapsed. Down it comes. We've got a nice low volume testing within this bar here, but they're not responding to it. So there is low supply, low selling here, but they haven't responded to it. You get really low selling here and it does kick up. Kicks up in really high volume, and that's pretty high now. That's even higher than your bar over there, but that's a selling bar. That's the problem. So they've had some good news on something and they've just capped it. Volume's persisted. It's gone nowhere. Volume's persisted. That's effort with no result. And up thrust, all weak bars, and then it's broken now. The low of that bar there. And it's really high volume coming down, closing up its low. So it does look like it's potentially buying lower down, but certainly no interest in it going any higher at the moment. So now you've got this downtrend behind you, but you also got this, and now comes a weak bar. All these are weak bars. So you really, you'd have to say you want it to get above there now, at least above that close there where they've capped it. The 16.5, but yeah, really what you really need it to get above the 19 cents, I think, and start making some so maybe I should leave that line in there. It's made a high, look, it's made a higher low, a low, higher low. You still have a higher low there, but it's not looking too promising. But at the moment it's still a higher low and some interest in the bottom. You still have a higher high, so, but I think it's stretching the friendship a bit to say you're starting an uptrend, but that's very thin. As Lethal Weapon would say, very thin. And that's very weak, and that's, you're below that now, and that's your problem now. That could set you back for a little bit. and I wouldn't touch it until it got at least above that bar, and preferably above this big drop down here. So anyway, that's HST. Okay, this is CTN, Contango Microcap, and I might put a pitchfork on there because it looks okay. There we go. That's a median line, and it's found support on the pitchfork there. I might just put in a on the bigger one. Just put a, I hit that gap there. It looks like a 50% line roughly. So anyway, so it's been going in that channel there. It's actually in the middle of the channel, which is not the ideal place to enter. Is that a Hagopian rule failure of that parallel? I don't know. Looks like it, doesn't it? Which usually means I'll take out the last pivot, but you got a few pivots there, so I probably wouldn't apply it. But anyway, a really high volume bar. This is the weekly chart. There's that one there. So they were buying that and absorbing all the supply from the left here. That's allowed it to move up. It's also found a bit of support there where it's the next high volume bar. It's come down hard here. It's come down, still volume's increasing, but the close doesn't go anywhere. So they're definitely buying at the bottom here. It's gone up. At a 2-bar reversal, that's a trap up move, so they're not interested in taking it higher yet. They want to. That's the thing. Even though they're buying bars, there's still lots of supply. No, high volume equals lots of supply, and they've come down and hit that area again. That's what this done. They've hit that area again. Found supply, so they're taking it lower. Whack. There's another little test. Still found supply. It's dropped down on low volume. Then volume's increased. And that's them buying it there. That's collapsed. It's a down bar, but it's been held up. It's been bought. So they're bullish around this area. And that's giving you this reversal here. So we have a little bit of background strength. It does look like there's support along that line there. And we're now. So that's what I'm looking at. We're still within that bar. It's gone up. It's tried to go up, but they weren't really interested in it going up. Come back down. They're hitting this area for supply still. So that looks like a test, but they haven't taken it up. Test it again. That's allowed it to rise, but they haven't really supported the move up yet. That's brought it back down to hit it again. Hit it again. That's found supply again. Volume's increased, so they're still finding supply within this supply, but it's less. It's less than here, so that's good. So it looks like they're trying to absorb supply in that area at the moment. So there might be some accumulation happening. Well, look, this is the daily, so I'll have a look at that. There's a real bullish bar. And the recent, hang on, go to the daily. I've got to put another one. That's our bullish bar there, really, on the daily. So I've put the head of, or a high volume bar at least. And look, it's high volume, but they've capped it, and that's what's collapsed. But they're actually starting to work it. Now it's got above there, so gone up. Look, while it's above, while it's within the scope, while it's within the range of that bar, I'd be inclined to think they're accumulating in that area there. There's no interest to the upside yet. See this big up bar, see this bar, how it went up on really light volume, so they're not supporting it. They've hammered it down. They're going to hammer this area until there's really light volume, all the supply soaked up. And that's what it looks like they're doing. They're soaking up the supply in that area. Look at this big shakeout here. Whack. And that's pulled it right down. So pulled it right down. It was snaveled up. They snaveled it up, but they pulled it down into that bar, into the bottom there. So that's probably significant as well. And I bought here in the past. Look, there it is. At this level. That looks like big shakeout moves there. So they've wanted. Yeah, see, I'd look that while it's above there, above the $1.17, or between the $1.17 and $1.15, I would like to think that that's been accumulating there. And look, you do have a little uptrend there that's worth watching. You do have a higher low, higher high, higher low. It hasn't made a higher high last time. That's a trap up move, looks like, roughly. It's gone up, but I haven't really been interested in taking it up. Caught supply, dropped down, up thrust, so that's weak. No demand, up thrust. So I think it might need to go sideways for a little bit. And you are still, also, the other thing to look out for is you are still that's a downtrend there, isn't it? So really, I'd be looking for it to get away from that downtrending line there, and but it looks like they're accumulating, absorbing the supply within this shakeout bar over here. It looks like, and probably more of that line at the $1.17. But anyway, that's CTN. Okay, this is IDM, Industrial Minerals Corporation, and it looks like we did have a downtrend which we've broken out of. And we have had looks like we do have a bit of an uptrend there, eh? There we go. That's a channel there. I'll put that in the middle roughly, or even there. But anyway, so that's started a little uptrending channel there, and you see all the volume coming at the bottom here, and then prices above all that volume now. So you do have some background strength there. They've absorbed supply going up. So not all up bars are necessarily weak. It could be they're absorbing supply, and that's what they've done here at the bottom here. They've been pushing it up. The highest volume bar is right there, so we're well above that now. That's acted as support along here. So they've spent time. That means that what they've done is spent time accumulating the supply, or absorbing the supply in that area to invest in a higher share price. And I've moved it up here, started moving it up here. Moved it up there and spent a bit of time mopping it up. Moved it up. And volume here is not as impressive going up there. So it's hit the top of this channel here and caught resistance, caught supply now. It's come right off and really light volume. These are all weak bars at the top here now because they're closing off their, really closing off their highs. But it looks like they pushed up again, closing at their highs on top. That does look a bit like they're distributing in the top there. It's looking a bit ratty there now, isn't it? So I might just go to the daily and just see what I think there. A really big up move, but very narrow spread there, so they were selling there, no two ways about it. Bang. Really big up move now. They're capping it. They're capping it at the 28 cents. That narrow spread, it's gone up, they've gapped it, And a gap move is designed to avoid supply, and there must be some resistance back here they want to get over, possibly from that bar there, or these highs over here. And they're just squeezing the last bit of the orange, that looks like. So they are capping it at the 28 cents. We had this really big up move, that's the worst one. That's being capped. They're still going up there, so maybe they're trying to absorb supply here. You do have an old top there, but it's nothing like this volume over here, I suppose. But look, well, it's still making a higher low. But I'd be very cautious now, because that really, look, it's 1 million shares, isn't it? Well, at the moment it's catching supply at the 28 cents. Now, are they capping it so they can collect some more down here? I don't know. That I don't know. But it is being capped at the 28 cents. It looks like. It looks a very specific amount. It's from here. They were doing it from that bar there. From weakness, come down, supported the price. Distribute. That's a distribution zone there now. So I would, if I was, so I probably wouldn't want to be long that stock now, because this is a real, that's taken out. If that was buying, and then it couldn't close there, and they wouldn't take out the lows of that bar, they'd be trying to absorb the supply in that bar. So that there's no interest in taking this higher at the moment. And I'm just trying to see where we can get some support to see where they might start reaccumulating, just in case. And probably the top of that next high volume bar there, which corresponds with the low of this one. No, not really. Between the 24 and the 25. Look, it started, if it broke, it's up to you, but if it breaks the if it breaks down into this bar and the volume's still quite high, I'd be inclined to think it has to go lower. But it could be that they want to accumulate at a lower level here, you don't know. But that's definitely capped at the 28 there, so there's no interest in that going higher in the short term. But I would be watching probably this is the last high volume bar behind us, from the 25 to the 23. If we get really light volume coming into there and then starting to form another higher low, then that could be worth watching. But I think that looks like they've distributed once, twice, 3 times. And yeah, it's a hard one. It's a problem when you've only got like 1 million shares being traded at 26 cents there. It's very erratic, so I find them a bit harder to read. The principles are pretty much the same. They have smart money sell on up bars and they buy on down bars, and they still the stuff still works, but the big, a more heavily traded stock is a lot easier to read. But that looks like they're selling it in the 28. I would have been out there and then having a look and see if we can make a higher low again, or any sign that they're accumulating within between the 23 and the 25, or even above there. That would be good. If you see really light volume and it's holds its 23 cents, then that might signal that they're willing to accumulate for a little bit to invest in a higher price. But otherwise, if they're all done and all finished, then they'll collapse until it gets down to wherever they're bullish again. But you have got, it's broken the middle of the channel, but a lot of times what they do is these center lines, and that's probably the worst place to make a trading decision, is on a center line. You're good to sell at the top of a trend channel and buy at the bottom of a trend channel if you're going to buy and sell. The middle, it can go anywhere. Normally it'll swing around the middle before deciding whether it's going to go up or down. So sorry about that. That's but I think that looks like it's being distributed, and if they're still bullish, then possibly they'll accumulate around this black median line here in the middle of the channel before taking it back up. You have got a little ascending triangle happening there, so if that it's going to have to decide whether it's going to play out to the upside or the downside. And but they're usually a bullish configuration, but not always. And but anyway, you've got your resistance there at the 28 cents, your support at 23, and let's see if it can keep a higher low, or at least oscillate around this median line to signal that they're accumulating. Okay, this is a CXM, Centrex Metals. What do we got there? It has had a little bit of a downtrend there. If I see what we can see. No, it's not really. But anyway, it's come off. You can see where your ultra high volume is here on an up bar. And that was pretty much the finish of it. So that's why we've got to be very careful on these up bars. I've brought it up, taken it back down, and brought it back up to finish it off. So they're distributing into the herd there, and so that's going to act as your resistance above you at what is it, 48.5, and then your 67.5, and your 76 cents. We've also got another one here at around the 45. You see this is your big actually buying bar before that on high volume. So that's around the 44 cents, 45 cents. So it's now within that bar there. And so maybe they might accumulate down there possibly, but you're still, here we go, that's still, anyway, I brought it down. Let's take over and see what we can see. Now this is an up bar and it's on a very narrow spread, so we don't like really narrow spread up bars, but there's resistance to the left, so they're absorbing obviously because it's gone, oh hang on, it's gone down first, a really high volume. Next bar's gone up on high volume, next bar's gone down on high volume, next bar's gone up and then pushed through. So that's buying, so that's back, you do have some background strength there. So I'm going to put that on the high, low of the bar. I'll put on the close of that bar there. So that's definitely a bit of strength there. It's gone up on high volume. There's really a lot of volume in this area. It's gone up on high volume. Come down, looks like tested, except it's a bit low. Gone up again, caught supply. They're not really interested in taking this higher now because it's catching supply now. See, that's a weak bar because it looks like it's being capped in the top there. And you're below that bar now. So that is a problem. You need to get back up into that area and over that area. But and it could be they just want to absorb supply within the scope. They want to accumulate within the scope of that high volume up bar there, and they're not interested in it going any higher. Because after that bar, it's collapsed. So that's definitely weakness. I haven't been interested in it. And this looks like a shakeout. It's gone whomp, but it's closed high and then it's gone up after that. So that's a shakeout move. Found supply. It's increased volume, even though its demand's overcome supply, its volume's increased. So they'll want to bring it back down into that area to test for supply again. Now, probably what I should do that still looks like a and you've made a lower low still, so you're still making lower lows, so you're still in a and lower high, so you still are in a downtrend even though it's gone smooth sideways. But that's a sign that they're interested and that they're trying to shake the market out. Taken up, brought it up. I've actually exerted effort to get over this resistance line here. Back tested that line, it looks like. So that's a test. It's on less volume than the bar behind it. It's testing the volume in this bar, and it also tests that breakout line there. But it's still so that could take it higher. I'd imagine they'd still want to absorb, test for supply within this shakeout bar here. So they might want to bring that down yet, but okay. But we're above a real high volume bar there. We have got one above us at the 45 cents. 40. So really, you really want to get above that 45 cents, I think. But at least what we want to see, because you do have a lot of weakness behind you now. These are weak bars above you. You want your high volume bars below you, below the price, and then making higher lows above that, testing for supply. So I think what we really need to be waiting for now is a higher low to form, and then have a look at where our next high, what's happening at our next higher low after that. Because I think you need to get out of the scope of this big bar here, because that looks like they're still trying to push it down at the moment. That's a shakeout, gone up. You need your higher low. I think you need a higher low above this bar here at the 45 cents to really get a good idea. But anyway, that's CXM, but there is sign of interest. That's the shakeout, so that's always a sign that they're working it. But I think it'll have to come back and test probably even within that bar or the top of that bar and really light volume. Your last bar on Friday was a test of this volume here, and it looks like it was on the lightest volume in 3 bars just. But probably you really want to see a test like this, really light volume here. So that's a test. Well, it's not really, that's more a no demand it looks like, but it does go within. Okay, reverse up, push. It sort of looks a bit like a test, but it's probably not really a good one. But there's really light volume there. It's failed because it's gone down, then it's pushed up. It's tested within this bar. It's less volume than the bar behind it. It's closed high. I think it has to come and retest within this 2-bar reversal here. And yeah, let's wait for a higher low to form at least, and a higher low, and to break above the 45 cents to get a really safe entry.